How old are you?
I am 49.
Are you still working with Luca Turilli? What is it like to work with him?
Actually, I didn't work with Luca since a while, but we had some contact again, talking about some possible stuff that we do together, and it was really cool to talk to him again. I mean, I actually talk to him basically every year or something like it, but then we were talking more frequently. So he's still a friend, and I'm really happy when he calls or when he gets in touch with me. And it's always a good talk, but it didn't happen that we started working again together, but I would do that anytime.
What's the best way to find a good band? I can never find people who stay dedicated.
So hard to find a good band, of course, and people that are dedicated, people that are at the same time your friends, that maybe have an idea of the whole idea of the whole thing and not only looking for their instruments. And that's what I'm looking for, people that have like an idea of the whole picture. And it's very hard to find them, but once you found them, and I think I found some on the way, you should never let them go and really try to hold on to it, because it's rare and seldom that you really find the right people, and it's great if you found them. So possible, but hard. I mean, if you're really talking about like how to find people, I don't know. I mean, I find people usually just by accident. So it happens that you work with this guy or this girl or whatsoever, and then she knows somebody and you get in contact and you do something together, and then suddenly you know new people, and if you're lucky, they're good. That's usually how it happens. I guess you can also find them on the net. I mean, I was trying that already. I mean, trying to find a new singer, for example, for my band before I had Adrian, and I found that very hard, because you usually don't get the whole picture if you don't really meet the people. And for me, it's maybe more than half of the thing is the personality and how you get along, and that's a little bit harder on the net or with some kind of magazines or whatsoever where you can find people. So I think the best is if you know people and people talk about other people and you listen and you say, you ask them and stuff like this, just by accident.
How was working on the upcoming Kamelot live album? It sounds really great.
Thank you very much, first of all. I mean, my work kind of started already being there in Tilburg, because I was also a guest for one song. And what can I say? I mean, it's a live album. It's a live album. You approach it a little bit different than a studio album, but it's interesting how the songs turn out to sound, with sometimes even played by different people and or in a little bit different way. And it's always great to try to get something that is has a little bit different picture than a live than a studio album. For example, the doubled guitars are usually not there in Kamelot live, because it's just one guitar player. So you have to approach it a little bit different, and I kind of like that. And it's usually a little bit more airy. It has a little bit more space. You don't need to push it so hard. And always great to work on live stuff. I like it.
Are you going to work with Shaman or Angra again in the near future?
Oh, that's a topic, because I just had some sort of a live thing, live on their channel kind of thing, last week. It was the day when 1 year anniversary of Andre passing away, and so we had a good talk. It's a long time ago that I talked to all of them. I mean, talk about Angra now, basically, to all of them in one, and it was really cool, really nice to meet them again. We talked about good old times, and Raphael said it would be great to work together again, and I totally can agree. It would be so great. And also Shaman, I really love their stuff. It's really sounding different. They have their own character, and I also talked to them already about a possible collaboration, and I would love that. That would be really cool. I mean, at the moment it looks all a little bit not so easy because of the corona stuff, and we see what happens, you know. But I would say maybe it's gonna happen one day again. I'm pretty positive, actually. I want to do it.
What is special about your signature Duesenberg guitar?
Okay, of course, first of all, the special thing for me is that it's my own model, so I could basically have a word in the making, and that was really cool. It was a great collaboration with Ingo Renner from Duesenberg. Basically also other people involved, of course, but it was really great to talk to him and to exchange ideas and stuff like that. And the outcome was really a beautiful guitar that I really love. I mean, I love the look. It's I love the shape, which is just a little different to some stuff that they already have, the Paloma, for example. But the shape is a little bit different, especially the back and the connection, the neck joint. And yeah, I wanted to have something that is a little bit more high gain friendly, but can deliver the stuff that my star player also delivered. And I wanted to have it a little bit smoother, because I have a lot of Duesenberg guitars already that deliver the twang that you know from Duesenberg and that I love. But I wanted to have a guitar that I can use also for my harder stuff. But the outcome was actually a guitar that I can use for everything. I really love it. It's a super versatile guitar, and I play it all the time now. I mean, basically almost all the time. And yeah, I love the versatility. I love the color, like the snakeskin look. And I love the technical stuff on there, like the extra volume putty for the neck pickup. And I don't use the kill switch so much. I just had it in because sometimes I needed one, like for a very few occasions that I needed one, and then I really couldn't do it with a Duesenberg because it has more like a strut thing going. You can something that you do with a Les Paul. I wanted to be able at least to do it too, so I asked for a kill switch. So I can do it now, but I don't use it much. It's a great guitar. I love the tremolo. I always loved this on Duesenberg. It brought me back to using a tremolo, actually. I disconnected all the tremolo systems from my other guitars before because I just didn't like it. But this I like. I love this feel of it, and it's totally stable. I just love the guitar. It's great. It's very smooth. It's so smooth that I changed. I was usually playing 10 to 46 strings, but first I changed to 11 to 48, and now I play. Actually, it was 11 to 52, and now I play 12 to 54, and I love that. It's I think on the star player it would be a little bit hard, but on this one it's really cool. So I know the fashion is a little bit to go for a little bit thinner strings, but I do the opposite at the moment. I play 12 to 54 and I love it. And yeah, I just love the guitar. Sorry I talk so much.
What would you do if you weren't a musician?
That's very hard to answer because it depends a little bit from what aspect or what time you look at the whole thing. From when I was a kid, it's maybe something completely different than what I would be now when I could choose now. If I would not be a musician, I would be something else now than I would have been when I was a kid. So it's a little bit easier for me to look at it from a today's perspective. And I think I love old stuff. I love vintage furniture, and I love old vintage motorcycles and stuff like this. So I would probably do something that's relating to these type of things. I mean, maybe I will do this one day on top of what I'm doing already, if I can. I could imagine to work with stuff like that, and I always liked it. But I like any type of work that you can also do with your hands. I mean, it's very good to have something that gives you the full spectrum. I mean, there are some jobs that you have to work with your mind and your head, and also with your hands. I would try to choose something that, has like a full spectrum of things to do. It's very hard for me to say what it would be, but that's what I'm interested in. What I just said, like some like old stuff. I could imagine to work on old stuff. Restoration, I don't know, selling it, something like it.
Does it still make sense to record in big studios?
It depends from what point of view you're looking at it. They are maybe not so useful anymore for hours and hours of guitar overdub sessions or vocal overdub sessions or something like this. I mean, back in the days, we did all the stuff in the big studios, and it was very expensive, and we spent quite some time there. And a little later on, like the more and more project studios came up. And but for me, the existence of big studios was never unimportant, because I love the sound of good rooms. For example, it makes a big difference if you work in a big room that sounds good, especially for drums, but basically for everything. So I love, if there's a budget, I just love to work in big studios, also because of the atmosphere. It's like a musician's heaven. It's like a vacation for us musicians in a way. If you can work, have the possibility to work in a great studio that has maybe a lot of old vintage equipment, and to inhale the flair, to just to be there, gives you puts you in a certain mood that pushes you to do things that you wouldn't do when you were just sitting alone at home. And so I have to say, for a lot of things, it would be so great to be able to work in big studios again. But we also have like big advantages to work at home now. And if you make the best of both worlds, you can have a good result, I think. And that is also reasonable money-wise in terms of what you have to spend. But I don't think big studios are obsolete. They really are, at least for me, necessary, because it's a little romantic even for me. I can't just accept the fact, or couldn't accept the fact, that we don't need them anymore. And I hope the rest of them will not die.
What was the hardest thing you faced with Toby or Avantasia?
I mean, I don't know exactly what you're talking about, or what the question really means. But I guess you are maybe talking about like the most exhausting thing we did, maybe tour-wise or something like it. I mean, we had quite some flights and travel schedules that were pretty exhausting. So I mean, we were flying all around the world, and sometimes there's not a lot of sleep, and so we might have 24 hours of flights, and then you have to play the next day, and then you fly again and stuff like it. It can be sometimes quite hard, actually, but you never feel it totally disturbing, because I don't know, you do it for a good reason, and you're always rewarded for it. And I don't actually think that we have anything that is too hard to bear that we do. So it's hardest would be if we can't do anymore what we are doing. And I think we don't really have to do hard stuff, because for every hard work that we do, we are rewarded in a very fine way, and that is great. So I don't really think we don't have big trouble that we have to go through. My most challenging mixing project, I maybe had quite some. Sometimes you would think it would be the one with the most tracks or the most instruments and 400 tracks or whatsoever, and I had these, and they are challenging technically a little bit more, even technically, than the other way around, because that is what I'm kind of used to. But the later the point in my career, the harder it was for me to mix the stuff that has almost nothing. I got really used to mix big stuff, and I think the big art is actually to mix stuff that doesn't have so much in there and make it sound good. And I'm really happy that I recently have some projects where I can go back to this basic approach of looking at music and mixing. And I think it's sometimes harder to leave stuff out and just don't do certain things, but you get rewarded with a really good sound and more space. And yeah, that's what I'm trying to go for a little bit more at the moment. But I think it's challenging because it's easy to put in a lot of stuff, but it's not so easy to say a lot with not so many words, if you want to say so. So yeah, I would say there are some projects that I did that had a lot of stuff and it was quite challenging. I mean, always also depending on the technical situation of the time. I mean, for example, when we started with Rhapsody, it's a good example. We worked on ADATs and we had lots of tracks and all the automation was on a Yamaha board, and if the guys decided to slide in 16 bars, it was a hell of a work and a total nightmare to copy the automation of the boards and to fill the space and to copy all the ADATs and to make everything work again. And the whole machinery was cooking all the time. And it was really, really exhausting, and it really, not only for us, but also for the equipment actually, and also for our nerves. But it was kind of cool because it worked, and then we were very happy that now we could make it work. So it can be challenging to do a lot of stuff with like a lot of technical things going on, a lot of tracks, from orchestra to whatever, but it can be challenging to do just very, very little instrumentation. It really depends on the project. Rhapsody was challenging, I remember that. But also some other stuff that almost had nothing was challenging. So very hard to say, but yeah, depends on the way you look at it.
What do you think about recording with an isolation box?
Yes, I tried that back in the 90s, and I have to be honest, I always hated it. I never liked the sound of ISO boxes, speakers, cabinets, whatsoever. I always thought they sound boxy in a way, so I don't like it. I never heard one that I liked. Maybe there are some, but the ones that I tried I didn't like it. I even preferred to record like in a low volume, just in the control room or something like this. But anyway, nowadays you don't need this anymore anyways, because any simulation is better than an Isobox, I would say. So I'm sorry if you have one, but I never found one that sounds good. Maybe there is one. Yeah, thanks for sending in all your questions again. And it's always really interesting to listen to what you want to hear about. And I'm so super willing and happy to do that all the time and continue doing that. So keep on sending your questions and I will try to answer them as good as I can. Thanks for sending in the questions for this question and answer